Hello there, it's the Archivist from tradingcardarchives.com, and I'm back for what I'm hoping will be like a super short video, but we'll find out. I don't know. We're going to mess with electronics. So what's going to happen here is either we're going to succeed and it's going to be amazing, or we're going to crash and burn hard and like start a fire, and it's going to also probably be amazing. So anyway, let's get started. So to give you a little bit of background, in case you didn't see it, I think yesterday I posted a video on the OG Yo Gabba Gabba cards where I opened my case. Yes, I have an entire case of these. I'm insane. Don't ask questions like that. But I opened my case of blasters for this trading card set from 2012. And each of the blasters comes with a random music card. That's what this is. So you know those greeting cards you open and they play music, that kind of thing. It's this sort of a thing, right? So you're supposed to open this and then press here, and there's a button. You can kind of hear the press, right? But nothing's happening. It doesn't play any music, and that's because again, this is from 2012. The batteries in here are rated, you can kind of see it there, they sort of officially rate them for 200 plays or 2 years, which means those batteries likely died sometime in 2014. Even if they retained their charge a lot longer than that for some reason, but by like 2020 they were there's no possible way they had charge left at that point, right? So that's kind of how that works. And so what we did last week is we pulled dupes. So there's 6 total music cards that you can get, and we had 2 copies of card 6, which is this one. It plays the freeze game is the song it would play, and we opened it up. So I just started cutting. I just destroyed I destroyed that card completely, which again, I get it. Like, that card's dead. We're not going to do that to this one. The goal of this is to figure out if we can fix this mechanism. If we can, then what I can do is from the one that I destroyed, I can put it on top of this and see exactly where each of these pieces is inside of it, right? And then I can draw like a template, and I can cut that template out of a piece of paper or something. And then I can put that piece of paper on top of this broken one, and then use a more, instead of just bashing it with scissors, right? I can use, I don't have it here, but I can use a hobby knife to just cut the paper from the top, right? And then I can just remove that and then access what I need in here, replace the batteries, put it back, and put a little glue around it. You won't even know I did it, right? Unless you look real close, right? And so I can fix these. I can fix all of them, I think, if I try. And the trouble is we didn't have the batteries to do it. So when we took it apart last time, we got as far as, so this is a speaker, this is the button, so this is the button, and then this is the circuit board that contains the music chip. Underneath all of that solder there, they just kind of covered it up with solder. That happens a lot in industrial electronics. They just kind of blob on top of it. And then that is going to the speaker like this. And the button would activate it here. And then there's 2 batteries supplying power to this. Now we don't, these batteries are in parallel, so we don't actually need to replace both. If we replace one, it should work. It just will only work for half as long, right? But it should be just as loud, all that kind of stuff. Not that anyone watching this cares, although I know one of you knows, because when I posted that video, somebody replied with the exact, like with the other kind of battery. So I think I was showing like an LR44, and they had suggested using an LR43, which what those are designations of these kinds of batteries. There's like 30 different kinds of this battery, and then each one has 18 different names or something, right? Like every country has a different standard for what they call it. So like this battery right here, this is the one I took out of this originally. This one is dead. This battery has a number printed on it that you can kind of read there. It's R1130 right here, right? R1130. So that's the type of battery that this is in Asia. In Asia, that's the designation for that. In the West, we designate that battery as L54, I think. So if you were going to like, Radio Shack doesn't exist anymore, but something like a Radio Shack that had all the different batteries, all these weird batteries, right? You would be looking for an L54, and that would be this exact battery. And it is 3.1 millimeters tall, which is important because the casing that's soldered onto this board is 3.1 millimeters tall. So I can't put a thicker battery in there. Now, what's interesting about these batteries is watch batteries like this, they don't discharge from the top. They only discharge from the bottom. And so this casing that's on here is only to hold the battery against the board. The power is drawn into the board from the bottom. You can kind of see there's a pad here, like a golden colored pad. That pad is what brings the power out of the battery and into the board. It's also what's like slowly discharging it all the time. So these batteries only need to touch the board at one point. That's different from like a AA battery, which has to touch, on both ends, right? It has to be inserted the right way or it won't work. Watch batteries are different. They discharge all the time in one direction. That's a simplification. Sorry, electronics people, I know that's not exactly right. Okay, so now that we know what kind of battery that is, we know it's an R1130 or L54. We were able to find those, and so I went on everyone's favorite website, Amazon, and got 40 of them. This package, I haven't actually opened it, but theoretically has 40 of those inside of it. Here they are. And yeah, so these will be the exact same battery if I did this right. What does it say? LR1130, same battery, right? When you're talking about batteries and thinking about batteries, everybody, it really just comes down to what the casing is, what the size of the casing can hold. I could actually, like, if I, nobody watching this cares about electronics. I'm really sorry. You should probably shut the video off because I'm going to talk a lot about electronics now. Basically, that board accepts 1.5 volts. That's what this battery delivers. And most watch batteries, this is kind of called a watch battery, these small batteries like this, most of these discharge 1.5 volts. That's just common, right? And that's just kind of like the level of power that can come out of it. And that's the level of power that this board is designed to handle. And that's important. If I were to take like a D battery over here and take wires from the end of it and touch that pad, power would go into that pad, but that D battery is outputting 3 point something volts, and so it would fry this board. Like all the soldering points on here would just start smoking. It would fry, right? It would break the board immediately. So I would have to downstep that battery to be 1.5 volts, which I actually have steppers here. So like I could do that. I have like digital steppers where you plug a battery on one side, wires come out the other side, you turn dials to what voltages you want, and it'll step it to that voltage, right? So I could take any battery and power this with it. But I want to use the same casing, right? I want to cut a little hole out of this, open it up, put the batteries in, close it again, and make it look like it never happened. So I need the exact same battery to do that, to fit inside this casing, right? Because I can't modify this casing without really damaging that card. Okay, so that's just a lot of talk here. So the point was that any 1.5 battery would have worked in here, but this metal roof is meaning I have to use this smaller one like this. Okay, here we go. Let's put it in there. Hopefully it doesn't just fry immediately. A 1.5 volts is a very small amount of volts. Now at a high amps, it would still kill you, but these batteries don't have any, basically have no amps. So you could discharge this battery into yourself and not, I don't even think you'd feel it. Just gotta slip it in there. Perfect, perfect. Perfect. Come on, guy. Perfect. Okay, we're in. So at this point, the device is likely powered. And so I'm gonna go ahead and press this. I think I'm allowed to play like 3 seconds of a copyrighted thing before it's too much. So I'm gonna press this, see if it plays anything. I'll probably stop right away. The reason is these songs are copyrighted. And if I play this song any length of time, I'll get a strike. So I gotta play a very short time. Let's see if it works. Oh, it doesn't work yet. Okay, so that means that my assumption that the batteries were in parallel is wrong, and the batteries are actually in serial. And what that means is that the 1.5 voltage is being doubled to 3 volts by the 2 batteries. And that's what this thing needs. And since it's not getting it from the one battery, it can't work. So we have to replace both batteries is what that means, which kind of stinks because this one was hard to remove last time, and I don't know if I can do it. I'll try. I'll try a little bit and then I'll pause because I don't want you to sit here and watch me do this for like 40 minutes. It also begs the question of like, how am I going to access? Because this one is easy to access from inside. This one is on the edge. So I would need to cut like all the way to the edge in order to access it. Possibly I need to cut the side too. But again, it's fine. Like as soon as I can make a template for cutting one of these, I can figure out how to put it back together so that you don't know I did it. Or at least not obviously. Man, this little tab is like the strongest little metal tab I've ever encountered in my entire life. Like usually these things bend like nothing, but this one is just stubborn. Because it's very thin metal. Like I keep thinking I could just rip it, but I cannot just rip it. Because I've been trying. And it won't rip. Alright, I'm pausing. I'm gonna pause. I'll come back if I can get this open. If not, I'll come back and just be sad. But here I am. I am back. I was successful. I got the tab up. And I realized something that I'm sure everyone out there has been screaming for the last 5 minutes. I can't hear you because I recorded this before I posted it. You're watching it later. So when you scream, I don't hear it. In case you were wondering how time worked. You weren't wondering that. I'm sorry. I put the dead battery back in there. I realize that now. I did not open a new battery up. Instead, I just took the dead one and put it back in there. And I was like, oh, why doesn't it work? That's me. I'm kind of dumb that way. I do stupid stuff all the time. So we're going to have to basically take that battery out, try a new battery in there, test it again to see if it's a parallel system. Because that way I only have to replace one battery in each one, right? And if it doesn't work, then we'll replace both batteries. But let's remove the dead battery again. And I feel so bad because I like shoved it in there too, and it's gonna be a pain to get out now. I could actually pull this one instead. Maybe it'll be easier. It's not. Narrator. It was not easier. Oof. Maybe we can push it. Okay, let's try this one again then. I know I had this one out. I will pause again if this starts taking too long. I figured I'd be able to do it kind of quickly. Oh, okay, I got it. Also almost stabbed myself, but did not stab myself. These are super sharp. I know they look like all bent up and destroyed, but these are like super sharp. To the point that they like will cut and they would definitely stab your finger. Okay, so we need to get a new battery. It's obviously the dead old battery ain't gonna work. so here we go. Like I said, very sharp. Oh, there's a mosquito in here. That's amazing. I didn't even think we had mosquitoes. Come on. Sorry, I knew this video wasn't going to be the most interesting one because it's me just messing with electronics. But at the same time, I thought y'all might appreciate kind of seeing this whole process and like what it's really like to do this sort of a thing. So there you go. They are exactly the same size as you can see. Yeah. So here we go. Actually, I think when I said earlier that these just charge from one side, that was wrong. They just charge from both sides. Just they have a plus and minus, just like any battery. Yeah, that was really dumb because obviously they would have a plus and a minus. Okay, sorry. I believe it or not, have an art history degree. That's why I know like Alfonso Mucha and stuff. But I do not have an electronics degree. All of my electronics I learned myself, and not well, as you can tell. Okay, so we're going to test it again. Now we have an actual new battery in there. Okay, so nothing is plain. So that means we likely need to get 2 batteries replaced, which that does stink. But, you know, if we're going to do this, let's do it. Right? Like we don't want to half butt things. Half butt? Yeah, I can say half butt. That's fine. Anyone who actually does work with electronics is probably absolutely horrified by the things I'm saying, the things I'm doing. But just understand that to me, this is throwaway. Like this piece I have here, all this, if it breaks, too bad, I'll just pull another one. Because we have 20 of these, and there's only 6 varieties, so we're definitely going to have full sets. Lots of dupes. Oh my goodness gracious me. Oh. I don't think I've ever encountered it. It must be like partially soldered, like calcified. That's not the right word. Oxidized. It must be partially oxidized onto the pad. All right, I'm going to pause until I get that very kind battery that I'm not angry at all. Until I get that thing out. I'll be right back. Oh, I'll explain what that is too when I get back. I'm back. I haven't actually gotten it out yet, but I did get it to move a little bit, so I think I can get the rest of it. And yeah, I should have just assumed that this was a parallel system because it would have been like really cost efficient, inefficient for them to design. Well, they probably didn't design this board, but to buy a dual battery board if they didn't need it, right? It would be more efficient to just have a slightly thicker battery on there and have it last longer. But they needed 3 volts, so they needed 2 of them in parallel to do that. I'm probably reversing the parallel serial too. I'm sorry. Someone will correct me. I would fail an electronics test. But I can fix I can fix stuff. Sometimes. I also break things a lot. Oh yeah, I was going to explain what that is. Sorry. So we got the battery out. Congratulations. That's great. We probably damaged part of, like, there's all kinds of ways we could have damaged this. I could have shorted it when I touched it the first time, even though I have gloves on, it's possible. Or it shorted when I hit this pad here. It's also possible that like I've pulled on the wires a little too much and like some of the solder came loose. It's possible that the whole thing just oxidized and isn't going to work. It's possible like water got in there, some moisture or something, right? All that's possible. I don't really see any signs of it though, so I really think this could work. But then again, it's also possible that me dragging these batteries out broke some part of the pads that pull the positive and negative out. So there's all sorts of ways I could have broken that. So what is this? This is a stepper. So I was talking about one earlier, and I just kind of want to bring one out so I could show it to you. But basically, you put wires in here, and then you can screw the wires down, right? So you have wires coming in this side, wires coming in this side, and it'll change the voltage, right? So you can, well, I don't remember. I think it can step from, like 0.1 or something all the way up to like 25 or something like that. And the way it works is it uses capacitors. So a capacitor is just a battery. That is a battery. And so if I had a battery here and I put it in here, this capacitor would fill until it was at the correct level to output the voltage that I wanted, and then it would output it through the capacitors in this ring here. But yeah, and so that's how you change from like 1.5 volts to 3 volts, something like that. Now this thing is huge because it's meant to be used with wires and stuff. The one that's in here is soldered on, and it's basically invisible because it's so small. We need another battery. I bought 40 of those because I have 20 boosters, so I figured I would at least use that many. If not more. And also, you can't really buy small quantities. Or let me put that a different way. If I buy like 2 of these batteries, it costs $15. If I buy 40 of these batteries, it costs $8. That is, what do they call that? The scale. Something about scale. Yeah. So I don't know exactly why. I just assume that it's like they have to do a lot of packaging and stuff for just 2, and so if you buy a lot, you can save a lot of money. So here's another one, fully charged. So we'll put that in here. Just like that. And hopefully push it all the way in. Good to go. Okay, now we'll find out if the board is just broken or not. Okay, sorry. I know that was a little weird. It worked. It totally works. So he plays the song. It'll play this entire song, like the whole thing, all the words and everything. It sounds a little tinny. That's not the best speaker you can get, probably. But it does work, and I really hope I don't get a strike for that. I think I only let 2 or 3 seconds of audio play. We'll find out. If I do, it'll be my first and only strike, because I'll never do that again. But yeah, so this is totally possible. It is a parallel setup, though. It needs both batteries replaced. So that means as I plan out, I'll make another video for that, but when I plan out the way I'm going to cut these, I need to plan it so that I can access the side of that one and this side of that one. And I need to be able to access it well enough to pry those up, so I need like a lot of space, not just a tiny bit of space. I also need to be able to slip a battery in and out. So I might even need to get it to the point where I can remove that circuit board a little bit, but I don't want to have to remove the speaker and everything. There are long enough wires, so we should be able to make it all work. But yeah, there you go. Success. I've repaired one of these, and now I could repair as many as I want. I have tons of batteries. So, all right, I'll stop the video here. That was a lot of fun. I enjoy little electronic projects too. And hopefully you learned something. You learned a lot of wrong things. I'm sure of that. I don't use the right words for stuff just because I don't know them all. But I do know how to make it work. I've proved that. So, okay, good to go. I'll let this go now. And yeah, have a great rest of your day.